It's Boxing Day 2021, and I thought I'd have a little bit of fun today. After all, this is really what the hobby's all about, not taking it too seriously, and I thought I would run some of the longest trains that I can on my layout. Now, you can probably see from this view here that I've got quite a big layout. It's about 14 foot by 5 foot, the main board, and there's an extension which you might just about see in the distance, I'll show later. And the size of the board and the size of the layout really dictates the size of the trains you can run. So, for example, in my fiddle yard, which is behind the sort of townscape, which you can see up straight ahead of you in the metal framed bit there, yeah, the biggest loops in the fiddle yard are about big enough for a train and 7 coaches, but most of them are smaller than that. Perhaps a train and 4 coaches, an engine and 4 coaches, beg your pardon, or maybe 15 wagons long. So I don't often run trains much bigger than that, but I just thought today I would marshal up some big trains manually and let them run on the layout. And I hope you enjoy this running session then. We're going to have 4 or 5 big, long trains, mostly pulled by very powerful engines, but not all. On the outer loop we've got a Bachmann J39 with the old split chassis. Some people don't like the split chassis because they're not very easy to convert to DCC, but this one runs really well, and it's a really heavy chassis. There's a lot of die-cast metal in there, so it can easily pull the train I've given it, which is about 25 wagons long. And on the inner line we have again another Bachmann. It's the Robinson Great Central 04 class 280, and that's happily pulling a train of about 20 wagons, mostly boxed box vans or ventilated vans, those sorts of things. A couple of grain hoppers there, and a few open wagons with tarpaulins on at the end there. So we'll let them go round a bit. In my experience, when running long freight trains, it's not necessarily the length of your sidings that dictate how long a train you can run, but how many wagons you can couple before one of them decides to derail. It seems that if you're like me and you've got a wide variety of different tension lock couplings in use, then sometimes you get uneven stresses on the actual wagons, and as the train gets longer and longer, the forces on individual wagons get bigger, and they will derail at unfortunate moments. Usually the bits of the layout that are too difficult to access. I just thought I'd show you a bit of this part of the layout as well while I'm here. Here comes the J39 again. It's probably the most powerful 060 I've got. In fact, it might be one of the most powerful locomotives I've got. As I say, the chassis is very heavy. It's certainly as powerful as the 04 when it comes to the model, even if in real life the 04 was, I think it was a 7F freight loco. Now these two locomotives have done about 5 laps of the track now with neither having any derailments, which when I've got a 25 wagon train on is probably about as lucky as I can get, or as, yeah. I've had to adjust one or two of the wagons, add extra weights to some of them, which makes them run better, but of course makes the overall train a lot heavier. In the foreground here I've got 2 other beautiful ready-to-run locomotives. I've got a Helljan, is it an 02 or an 03 Tango, and a Hornby J15. Now the J15, I tried it on the outer loop with the same train that the Bachmann J39 is coping with, and the J15 couldn't cope at all. It's just too light a model, even with a die-cast running plate, to pull quite such a long train, which I suppose is realistic in real life. The J39 was a class, at least a class 4F, maybe even 5F. I think probably 4F, whereas the J15 is maybe only 1F or at most 2F. It's a very lightweight engine designed for the East Anglian rural lines that didn't have a very high loading on them. And now for a change on the inner line. I've got the same freight train running, but this time with a J11 pom-pom. This again is a Bachmann model, and it's sound fitted, and I've got a Hornby Select controller so I can get some nice sounds out of it. Let's see how that manages with the big freight train on the inner track.